Dear aspirants, welcome to Arpita Sharma classes, and I am your educator Anjali. We are here to cover some important topics in Indian geography for 2021. Before I start with the lecture today, I have an important announcement to make regarding the price hike on Unacademy Plus. So here, as you all are aware that Arpita Sharma ma'am is taking live classes on Unacademy Plus on history and polity. So do subscribe to Unacademy Plus as there will be a price hike from 20th of October. Okay. So now you can use the code Sharma20 to get 10% discount on Unacademy Plus on either 1 or 3 or 6 or 12 months course. So hurry up and subscribe to the classes and to get the handmade notes on Unacademy Plus for your UPSC journey. Let's start with today's topic, major national waterways. Okay. See, major national waterways are important because whatever you transport by road might be taking longer distance sometimes when you're compared to the water that you can travel. Okay, because we have not wide network, we have some pretty good network of inland waterways in India. See, this topic is not only national waterways, you can also consider it as inland waterways. Don't get confused between the two terms. Here, I'm so sorry for the cold that I have. Here I have shown the important national waterways, National Waterway 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. This is the new one, you will have to remember, and it is also in the northeastern region. Okay, that makes it even more important for us to learn. So let us look in detail of these national waterways. Why is it important? How is it important? How can it be improved? Okay, let's see all of these aspects in today's lecture. I am mainly focused on the prelims point of view for this because you definitely will get a match the following types of questions here, but I will also cover the mains aspect in this topic as well. So India is trying to improve the share in the national transport. It is building the national highways, like I told you in the previous lecture about the Golden Quadrilateral. Okay, the east-west corridor. Similarly, India is also trying to improve its national transport through waterways as well. So as per the RITES report in 2014 on integrated national waterways transportation grid, the cost comparison on the modes of surface transport, that is, if you are using highways, your cost per kilometer is 2 rupees. For in railways, your cost per kilometer is 1.36 rupees. In the inland water transport, your cost is only 1 rupee. You can see there is almost 1.5 rupee difference between the inland waterways and the highways. The Inland Waterways Authority. There we had seen while studying the national highways, the National Highway Authority of India was the key, or it was the agency that was important for implementing or laying down the national highways. Here it is Inland Waterways Authority of India. Now for this we have the Jal Marg Vikas project. I am trying to compare the two so you will remember easily. In the national highways, it was the Bharat Mala project that had started. There was another one also, but recent one is the Bharat Mala project. Now here we have the Jal Marg Vikas project. It is having a cost of 5,369 crores. They have augmented for this of navigation on the Haldia Varanasi stretch of Ganga, which is a part of National Highway 1, with the technical assistance of World Bank. This is a current aspect, so this can be asked in your prelims because it is recently in news. They can ask who funded it. It is funded by World Bank. Which highway it is, which part of which highway it is, National Highway 1, Haldia to Varanasi. It is on Ganga. I'll tell you detail about National Highway 1 as well. So this is the current aspect of it, so you should know who is implementing it. Inland waterways, under what scheme? Jal Marg Vikas. How much is it? Where is it? Part of which is it? And who is funding it? These are the aspects that you have to know for the objective type of questions if it is on the current aspect. If it is on the static aspect, I'll keep telling you as we move on with the slides. So National Highway 1. Simply this can be given in match the following. National Waterway 1, and they can give you a match the following. Does it connect Kashmir to Kanyakumari? Okay, even mixed options with NH also might come. You can't say. Okay, before it was called as Allahabad Haldia stretch of the Ganga Bhagirathi Hooghly river. It is on which river is also very important. It is on Ganga Bhagirathi Hooghly river, declared as national highway in 1986, on which all state does it traverse through. This is also important because whenever we are studying topics on geography, you might know that it is important to know the countries that passes through the equator, the country that passes through the countries through which the Tropic of Cancer passes through, the states through which the Himalaya is lying. Okay, all these will become important. So the states through which these national waterways will flow is also becoming important. Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand and West Bengal. Now the new name for this, because Allahabad was renamed as Prayagraj, so it is Prayagraj Haldia. It is having a stretch of 1620. It is the longest national waterway in India. Longest highway was, please comment in the comment box and tell me which was the national highway that I told you it is the longest. So this is the first national waterway. Okay, I told you it is lying in the Ganga basin. So you can see here it is from Allahabad to Haldia, and I have shown the important places it passes through: Varanasi, Buxar, Patna, Karagola, Pakra, etc. Okay, Kolkata also it passes through and it then reaches Haldia. This is the first national waterway. You should know, when I say it is a waterway, it is passing through a river. Okay, that traffic whatever is there on the waterway, it is passing through a river. Then National Waterway 2, it is from Sadia Dubri stretch of the Brahmaputra river. It is declared as a national waterway in 1988. This is also important, very important, because it is in the northeastern region. It is in state of Assam, Sadia Dubri. Okay, see, it is from Dubri here, from Sadia. It comes from Arunachal Pradesh and almost ends near the Meghalaya Assam border. This is National Waterway 2. Here there is National Waterway 3. It is Kollam to Kottapuram. It is the stretch of the western coast canal and Champakara and Udyoga Mandalam canals, declared as the national waterway in 1993. It is in state of Kerala. Which state it lies is also important, because I told you it is important. National Waterway 3, Kollam to Kottapuram. Here you can see it is in the western coast. It is from Kottapuram to Kollam here. National Waterway 4, it is from Kakinada to Puducherry, stretch of canals and Kulveli tank. It passes through, it is in the Bhadrachalam Rajamandri stretch of river. Which river? Godavari river. And Wazirabad Vijayawada stretch on Krishna river. So this is lying on two rivers, that is from Bhadrachalam to Rajamandri. It is in Godavari basin. From Wazirabad to Vijayawada stretch, it is in the Krishna basin. Declared not in the basin, it is in the river itself. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm saying basin, it is actually the river itself. It is declared as national waterway in 2008. Which state it passes through is important, because this passes through a union territory as well, that is Puducherry, and it passes through Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu states. See, this is the eastern coast, you can say. If the question is changed to which is the eastern coast national waterway, it is the National Waterway 4. Okay, it is from Rajamandri, you can see, from Rajamandri, Kakinada, Vijayawada, it changes its course, and here it is there till Puducherry. National Waterway 5, from Talcher to Dhamra, stretches of rivers. Gyonkhali, Charbatia stretch in the east coast Makkanal. From Charbatia, Dharma stretch in Matai river and Mahanadi Delta rivers as declared as in 2008. It is in states of West Bengal and Orissa. This is also in the eastern coast that we saw. It lies in two states, that is West Bengal and in Orissa. Now National Waterway 6. It is proposed the national waterway between Lakhipur and Bhanga on Barak River. Okay, Barak River is important because Barak River is a strategically important river. So the national waterway that is passing through the Barak River also becomes important, and this is going to traverse a lot of states, so this becomes important because of that as well. It passes through Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, Tripura and Arunachal Pradesh. It passes almost all through all the northeastern states, so this becomes important. Because I can tell you it is important because you know that northeastern part of India is very difficult It is having a very difficult terrain, and it is not so easy to travel by road or by railways. To build railways also, it's very difficult. So when you are having this natural source of water, you can definitely use them as your transport system. So it makes it easier for connectivity, it makes it easier for your cargo transport of people as well. So that is why it becomes important in the northeastern region. Now, what are the benefits of these inland waterways? Why, when you can build a road, why you need to use the waterways that is present? Okay, and here also, waterways is not simply like you'll just swim on the river and go. You need to build ports for that. You need to have harbors, and you need to have the ships that can carry your cargo. It is also a cost intensive one, but why are we considering this option when we are discarding other two options? Not discarding, but choosing this option on other two options like highways and railways. Now, this is fuel efficient, it is cost effective and environment friendly mode of transport, especially for bulk goods, for hazardous goods and over dimensional cargoes. Now, it will reduce the time, cost of transportation of goods and cargoes, as well as the congestion, accidents on highways. Now, I'll tell you one example from my personal experience. There were two places here. They were not islands, okay? They were just two places. But the stretch of river here was not very long river, but it was a long river. It didn't have a longer wide. It was not very wide, okay? But to cross this river and go to that land, this side, you could either build a bridge. But this bridge, because of lot of salt content in this stretch of water, this whatever bridge was being built, it used to get spoiled very quick. So people had to travel the whole stretch and reach this land. So this was my personal experience, okay? And there were small boats that used to sail from this end to that end, and they used to also carry these vehicles. Also they used to carry the buses as well, okay? So from this land to this land, it used to take only 2 hours or so, okay, to travel from here to here. But it used to take a longer time, almost 4 hours, when you travel by bus, okay? This is one of the reason why you can choose the water transport, inland water transport, for our benefit. It will reduce the time and cost of transportation. And in this boat, to carry even the bus, they used to charge the same as on the weight, okay? If based on the weight, they will charge you. But to travel 400 kilometers, what about the diesel cost, petrol cost? What about your time? Okay, all those you can see. And when you're traveling by road, you will have this traffic congestion also. And in waterways, it's not like that. It is just free, and there is lot of space for so many boats and ships to travel. Okay, and there is immense potential for domestic cargo, that is for cruise, for tourism, for passenger traffic. And all of you might be knowing, and everybody is so fascinated to go on a cruise ride when they go to Goa. Okay, so that is why inland waterways are important. Goa is not an inland waterway, it is an ocean, but when you have an inland waterway, you can generate your income through tourism, because people will come for their recreational activities there. And this, you can have cruise, you can have boating, on all these activities that will also be a part of your income generation. There can be systematic development, will open to progressive economic and transport opportunities in the country. It will open up considerable investment and business opportunities in the areas like water-based tourism. You can have water sports also while you are making a tourist place there. Construction and operation of terminals, creation of storage accommodation, and provision of other facilities that are required for smooth water-based navigation. Now, it will also help to generate millions of new jobs. When you go on tourism, people should be there to look after your safety when you are playing water sports. So when you are playing water sports, there are people who will look after your safety. There is a person who is going to run that boat. There are people who are going to be there on the invigilation purpose. There they will be looking after, if somebody unfortunately falls off into water, they will come and save them, or if there is some problem, they will be there to look after. And people who are doing fishing will also be there. Because of tourism, these people who fish near the waterways, they can also sell the fish right away on the shore itself, because people will buy them there because they are tourists. So this is a part of income generation for people, and it is generating a lot of new jobs. So it becomes important in that aspect as well. Now, what are these limitations? Now, when I tell you about inland waterways, now you can tell me, why don't we use it when it is having so many advantages when compared to railways and highways? You can tell me, why don't we use it like vast, intense? Okay, but it is not possible, because the rivers that we have are seasonal. We know only the Himalayan rivers are perennial, and other rivers are seasonal, because they have water only during, to their maximum capacity, you can say, only during the rainy season. Okay, after the rainy season, almost in the mid of summer, usually there is very less water. And I have already told you, the ships, whatever the height is present on top, the same amount of length is present underwater as well. When these waters become shallow, ships cannot navigate. So this becomes a very big disadvantage, or it puts a limitation on the inland waterways transport. So the rivers are seasonal, so the rivers will not have the full capacity of water in all the seasons. They will require regular and intensive dredging and desilting. There will be more of silt, okay, that will be there, because they are inland waterways, and all these erosion, soil erosion, there will be increase of sand that will be there in the riverbeds, and you should keep removing them often, or else it will always be an obstruction to the ships that are traveling. This can also lead to the toppling of the ships, okay, so it is important. And there is higher water salinity, because the water is saline, it can corrode the ships, okay. That is also one more importance. Require more seaports and support infrastructure like rail and now you are bringing this products from this position to this position, but from here distribution has to take place, right, of whatever you have bought. And for this you need railways or waterways, and it is important to connect these railways or waterways to these harbors. And this overall, the cost of all this is going to improve, because you are going to have a harbor here, railways or highways here, and all this infrastructure cost is going to increase massive. Okay, and warehouses you should have, because whatever you get it from the ships, and you have to store them, you should have cold storages. So this, you should have warehouses to store all these products. So construction of warehouses is not a simple task, and it is not a very cheap alternative, okay. It requires huge investment, so there is need of heavy investment. Because of this, all these act as limitations. And because I told you inland waterways is laid down, or it is regulated by Inland Waterways Authority of India, let us look into what is this Inland Waterways Authority of India, just because this is there in current affairs. Okay, direct question, because everybody would have studied what is the sixth waterway. It is on the northeastern region, or it is a subway of NH1, Varanasi Haldia. But what people tend to forget to study is this Inland Waterways Authority of India, about this authority itself. Okay, so this can be a potential question in your prelims. It came into existence in 1986. You need not know the exact date, but remember the year. Okay, 1986 is recent only. It is not a very old one. But if they give you inland waterways, you might have thought inland waterways. I just heard it new. Some people might have heard it new, but maybe it is formed in 2007, 2001. No, it is 1986. It is a older one only. I can tell you it is an older one only, not a new one when compared to 2007, 8, 10, 20, etc. Okay, inland. It is for the development and regulation of inland waterways for shipping and for navigation. The primarily it will undertake projects for the development, maintenance of inland waterways infrastructure, that is ports and harbors also it is going to build on national waterways through grants that are received from Ministry of Shipping. What authority does it come under? Ministry of Shipping. That is also important. And headquarters, okay, headquarters is at Noida. Important because it is very much potential that you will try to think that it is there in Kolkata or it is there in Mumbai. Don't do that, okay? It is there in Noida with regional offices in Patna, Kolkata, Guwahati, Kochi, and sub offices at some other places throughout India. Here, what are the takeaways in this slide is 1986. It will undertake for the construction of infrastructure as well, okay? And Ministry of Shipping and headquarters is at Noida. And I feel this lecture was important as I have given you a source where it will help you for like a one-stop source on national waterways. If there is any doubt, please comment on the comment box below. I will keep making videos like this that will be helpful for your prelims. And for this, please subscribe to our channel Arpita Sharma Classes, and please press the bell icon to receive the updates from us. I will come back with another lecture. Till then, stay safe. Thank you.